Welcome to Journey to the Rise, an interview podcast where we have our guests share their story on their path on how they define success. Journey to the Rise is brought to you by Girl Boss Productions. Often we see someone doing what we want to be doing and assume it was easy for them. What we do not see is the years of hard work that went into where they are today. Success doesn't come without sacrifice, losing sleep, the old saying of blood, sweat, and tears. I'm your host, Lucretia, and on this first episode, we're going to go back to my first podcast from 8 years ago. Why would I want to return to those episodes? Because the interviews were good then, and I feel the content carries over to the subject of this one. We're going to be starting with a conversation with Michael Gomez, a photographer based in Tennessee. Michael is someone who is always encouraging other people and photographers to go after their dreams. With the dedication and hard work, he is known as one of the best photographers in Tennessee, and yet he's modest enough to deny that fact. So this is where we will begin on the journey of this podcast, by visiting a conversation with a talented photographer who has not always had it easy, but by never giving up, he now owns Westlight Studios in Franklin, Tennessee, where we recorded this original episode. His success was met with ups and downs and failures. Michael always believed in himself. Michael's life is an example of what can be possible if you keep going, even when the odds are against you. All right, so we are here at Westlight Studios in Franklin, Tennessee with fashion photographer Michael Gomez and Westlight Studio owner. Thank you for being a guest with us.
You're welcome.
So how did you get started as a fashion photographer?
I wouldn't say that I'm like a, quote, fashion photographer, even though I've shot a lot of fashion, or let's say fashion per se. But I was in a studio when I first started out, and it was a group studio, and the group studio had a modeling agency in the studio. And when I was there, I started testing with some of the models. And basically just testing with the models, you would start shooting them in somewhat of a fashion way. You'd shoot some models, headshots, all that sort of stuff. And that kind of led to starting out kind of going in a fashion market. But honestly, Nashville doesn't have this huge fashion market. It's more of a music market. So the idea now would to know how to shoot fashion like anywhere, because we copied a lot of the fashion shoots from Vogue, or we basically tried to learn that kind of lighting, but we would now then apply it to a music industry as well, because they want to like fashion celebrities, and celebrities want to all have that very glamorous, fashiony look. So if basically I'm applying what I've studied in fashion and portrait to work toward the music industry or any other industry. As far as fashion in Nashville, you know, there's it's getting there more and more every year. We've got Fashion Week here now, and there are some really good fashion photographers in Nashville that probably shouldn't be in Nashville. We Sing is one of them, and another is Eli McFadden. I mean, those guys could go up to New York right now, or L.A., and really get out there and get some work. Another really good guy for that is Mark DeLong. But and Juan Pontlesica. There's several great, quote, fashion photographers. Most of the fashion that I do is here in town is geared towards something in Nashville lifestyles, maybe something in for the Steeplechase lookbook that's a yearly, this is what people are wearing, or something that might be in a catalog. Another, I guess, way that fashion is getting here to Nashville is Saks Fifth Avenue. Just relocated a studio down here, and they've hired a lot of photographers, and they're shooting sort of catalog type stuff.
Nice.
That's kind of more toward fashion. So it's coming here and more, but I I guess I wouldn't consider myself, quote, a fashion photographer. But it's, but we shoot in that way. So,
Right.
so maybe it is, but we're not shooting for Vogue
Right.
or any of those crazy fashion magazines.
Exactly. But you photographed a lot of models and celebrities. Do you have a unique shoot that kind of sticks out to you?
Golly, I've got so many shoots that stick out to me, but as far as a celebrity shoot, I guess it was about a year ago, I went down to Miami and shot Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, for a bank ad, and we shot in his house, and his house was unbelievable by the ocean or the bay or whatever it was, and I was just in that house going, wow, I'm in Alex Rodriguez's house. And the funny thing is before they told me who I was shooting, and I didn't know who he was. I said, Alex Rodriguez, okay, I'm like, Google, look him up. I'm like, oh, God, he's pretty big, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, I didn't really know anything about him. And because I'm not really a baseball fan. I don't watch a lot of baseball, but apparently you don't need to know baseball today to know who Alex Rodriguez is. He's got other things going on. But he was really cool, and he had a girlfriend at the time down there, and it kind of made the shoot really comfortable because when I got down there, I saw his girlfriend, and I'd shot her the year before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the time. I'm not sure who he's seen now, but Tori was down there, Tori Wilson, and I'd shot her a year before. So when he realized that, oh, he knows Tori, you know, that was kind of cool because he's like, okay, let's do this, man. What do you want, you know? And had a great shoot with him. He signed 2 baseballs for my kids.
Oh, that's sweet.
I thought that was fun. And I just I've done a photo shoot with George Jones, and that was kind of cool that to have a George Jones kind of it was really cool because my mentor Slick Lawson shot countless George Jones covers, and to kind of walk in the footsteps of my mentor and then shoot a George Jones cover, that was very special to me, to be able to do that. And the shoot went really great. George goes, I'll only give him 2 hours. And when he's like, 2 hours, I said, okay, I'm going to have everything set up. He's just going to walk through it all. And, I knew that if George was having a good time, that he might forget about the time.
Right.
And I was right. I had a nice old car that he really loved. I brought my dog that could do anything that I told her to do, and he loved her. He wanted to take her home. And I invited my friend Slick Lawson to the shoot. Yeah. And so it wasn't like he was at a photo shoot. It was like he was kind of hanging out and having a good time. And so I got so many images from that photo shoot that they ended up spanning it to 3 different album covers.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That's amazing.
And you get paid for each album cover, so that was good.
Right.
But he was great to work with. As far as other shoots, golly, so many different shoots. But those are probably 2 that kind of really stand out in my head that I was like, this is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about your most complicated shoot?
I think every shoot has its complications, I think. But I think just with the right kind of preparation for the shoot and the right production person, my wife Trish does a lot of working with me on the preparation of logistics that I just don't like to do. So I really am spoiled rotten. Here's your ticket, get on your plane at this time, and here's your shoot, here's your hotel, here's everything written out on one. And so it's all done. So I don't really look at a shoot sometimes as being complicated per se. I've never really had anything that has really gone wrong with a shoot that I'm like, oh no, Yeah. But I think every shoot presents its own set of problems that need to be solved. And I think with the right attitude and going in and any complication that comes up, you got to think on your feet and make it happen.
Right.
Another really cool photo shoot that I had is with a guy named Mike Huckabee. He ran for president, I want to say in 2008 maybe or something like that. But he didn't have very long to shoot either. And I really didn't know a whole lot about him. So I go to Google and I do my research. And I'm like, okay, let's find out about Mike Huckabee. And I knew he loved, 70s, just good old rock and roll, classic rock, So I chose the station, and it was just all this great classic rock pounding out. And he was really having a good time. And we kind of started playing a game of who was this, what year was this, name the artist, and he was playing along because he knew so much of it. So I gave him a chance not just to shine in front of the camera, but hear what his favorite music was and experiences. And I think when people get a chance to release themselves like that in the favorite things in life, they tend to have a good time. The funny thing is I also saw him talking somewhere once, and he had a Diet Pepsi with lemon in front of him.
Huh.
I didn't know if it was his.
Right.
But I said, okay. I never would buy Diet Pepsi with lemon. So I said to my assistant that went to the store, I said, make sure you get Diet Pepsi with lemon, a 6-pack. And sure enough, while he was there, we offered him if there was anything he'd like to drink. And he said, I'd like a Diet Pepsi with lemon if you have it. And of course, sure we do. Only today, though.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think making people feel comfortable in their photo shoots, and letting them forget that they're here to work and be at a photo shoot. And not everybody's comfortable with their photos, but we had a really good time. We did a book cover for him, and he loved them. So
Awesome.
and since then they had called me back again to do another shoot, and I hope he runs for president in 2016 and calls me back.
It pays attention. Pay attention to detail like that.
It does. I mean, I think people, they're people, and they have their likes and they have their dislikes, and if you can kind of get ahead a little bit of them to figure out what makes them tick and what keeps them entertained and happy, you can have a good time and a great conversation. You have to figure out, okay, where am I going to go with conversations? And I can talk the paint off a wall if you give me the chance. But I think that if you have some value to your conversation, it can be a time to remember, something that you go back and wow, I had a great conversation with them,
Yeah, and when you connect with them, you bring out their realness.
Right, yeah, and you do. So as far as complications go, let's just hope there's not any. I mean, nothing that hasn't, photography's not brain surgery. Complications in brain surgery can go terribly wrong. I had complications in photography, you can ruin your reputation if you're not really careful, and I've come close to that, but not anything with complications on a shoot. But
now you mentioned that Trisha's very instrumental in helping you get ready for a shoot. But what do you do when someone calls you up and says, "I need to shoot so and so"? What are your steps on getting ready for a shoot? Or are you just so automatic? You just
as far as setting up and stuff, we find out after your budget, we find out concept-wise. When it comes to music, I really like to listen to the music. I really like to find out what the artist is really about. You've got management companies and all these outside marketers and everything trying to impose what they think is on an artist, but I'd rather get into the heart of the artist and the music and what it's about. And I think visually the imagery needs to work with that. So if I can listen to it, and the other thing, I like to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the music just sucks, and I hate to say it just does. But if I can really fall in love with the artist and the music, I can really be into it. And then it's not work. Mm-hmm. It becomes sharing an art form, putting music into vision, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as other photo shoots, Trish handles the details on a lot of things that I don't like to do the numbers. Sometimes she handles the negotiations. Sometimes I do. I mean, I've got a series of questions that I ask, and I find out through those questions, without saying what's your budget, maybe where I approximate their budget to be, so I don't blow them out of the water.
Right.
But at the same time, I want what's fair for photographers. I want what's fair for me, and I have to respect what I do, and what all the other photographers are doing or trying to do, and make sure that I'm not lowering the standard to the rates out there, because there are photographers out there that are really shooting for nothing, and I don't know, maybe they have a $300 apartment upstairs of somebody's house, and that's their biggest payment. So who knows? Everybody's at a certain place at a certain time. I don't want to down any beginners, but you've got to figure out the value of it and what you do, and do your best to make it work. I think sometimes there's some meetings that we have. Sometimes the artist will share some imagery that they like. Sometimes I ask them to go onto my website and tell me their favorite shots from my website.
That's a good idea.
Because I want to do what I do best. I don't want somebody to come to me and say, we like this photographer, so shoot like this photographer. I want them to hire me for what I do. And if they try to make me into somebody that I'm not, I kind of have to say, you hired the wrong guy. I haven't really said it like that. I mean, I can do a lot of different things and styles and lighting, and I can do whatever I need to do, but, I guess it's interesting sometimes when you're working with somebody and trying to figure out what's going to make them happy visually. And then sometimes you figure it out. And today you don't have any excuses, really. You have a digital camera.
Yeah.
if you're shooting digital, you don't really have any excuses. They can see right there what's going on, and you can present that to them, and then go to the next one when you're ready. So.
Well, your passion definitely shows through whenever I see your work. It's very obvious. You're incredibly...
That's only because you see the work that I want you to see. There's crap in there. and that's with every photographer.
Absolutely.
They're only going to show their best work.
Yeah.
And their passion and what they love. And there's, you get your shot, and that's important. And we photographers, I think, probably have a low self-esteem for the most part, because they know what their crap is.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And they know their crap stinks,
yeah.
just like everybody's. But they think they get to see everybody's best work and nobody's worst work. So, if you got your shots and you're happy, and you go to the next one, and that's just a message for all you photographers out there that worry about what your work is like. Just do your thing.
That's the best advice that a person can give, because it is hard.
Do your thing.
When I look at your site or the different ones out there, and I look at, like you said, I
have crap. Or just images, you wouldn't go, God, I'm glad nobody could see that one. As I said, everybody does, and I think it's important for photographers to be who they are. I think, and be true to what they want to do. Try to have a vision in your mind's eye that you can then turn into a beautiful photo. I mean, if you can see it in your mind first and then get what you see in your mind, that's great. And if you can go into a situation with nothing and come out with something, that's great. And you might end up putting 1 or 2 images on your website from that shoot, and the rest of it's crap.
Yeah.
Or maybe just not as good. Those are the ones. And you go, okay, well, I got 2 and there's 400 images, and you can't think that those 400 images, I guess, aren't worthy, but you do that, show your work, and go on to the next one. But I think staying true to yourself is big. I think there's a lot of photographers out there that try too hard, and they study other photographers and their inspirations and all that. I'm like, find your own inspiration. Make your own mistakes and find inspiration in that. I mean, when I was first starting out, some of the best mistakes were, some of the, I guess, worst mistakes were biggest mistakes were my biggest inspirations. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that would happen, and you come up with something new. So yeah, don't be afraid to do what you do and learn. I wouldn't say learn the rules, but break them too.
Yeah, I've got some cool stuff from breaking the rules.
Yeah, break the rules, and there are none. I mean, I'm sure there's certain rules, certain standards on certain things, but it depends on what the image is, I suppose. And then there's happy accidents.
Happy accidents are always, yeah. So on the technical side, what is your favorite light modifier?
Oh boy. My favorite light of all is a 1,000 watt 1940 something beauty dish. It's just that old Hollywood beauty dish.
Yeah, that thing is
And
awesome.
I have a few of those. So, that's, I guess, a light modifier. But, as far as a strobe, it also depends on the subject and the shot at hand. It's like, well, this light's going to work with this situation. So my favorite light is using the right light that I need to light the shot with at the time. But my favorite all time, if I had one light to shoot with, would probably be a window. A big window.
Yeah. So you mentioned your lights. What lenses do you prefer to use? Do you have a go-to lens or?
Probably my biggest go-to lens is an 85 1.8. I shoot a Nikon D600 right now. Probably going to get an 800 eventually. But I like the 85. I like the compression in that. I also shoot a 7200. I'm kind of more of a telephoto guy. And I shoot a 50 1.4. And I guess it depends on what the lens is. One of the techniques that I do sometimes with an 85 or any lens really is when I'm shooting and I want a little bit more space to the left or the right or above, I'll generally do like a small mini panorama, and then I'll just merge them in Photoshop just to get that, and it gives me the compression of the lens and then a little bit of a wider shot, and I love doing that. I used to have a 90 shift tilt lens that I did with that all the time years ago with Canon. That was before their merge program was the way it was now. Now it's so good, and it doesn't have to be a shift tilt lens to be able to do that. They've got special tripods that do that kind of thing too. So it's pretty amazing what you can do with the merge program on Photoshop. But I'd say the 85 is probably, if I had one lens and that was it, that would be it. I could make, if it needed to be wide, then I guess they needed just to find another photographer. or I would do my panorama with it.
Yeah, absolutely. This episode of Journey to the Rise is brought to you by Girl Boss Copywriting. So you've been very busy because along with your photography, you manage and own Westlight Studios. So tell us about your studios, the space, the workshops, the events, what all goes on at your
Well, we have been
space.
busy at Westlight Studios. We moved into this building in Franklin about 1.5 years ago, or a little over 1.5 years ago, it seems like now. And we've been, just trying to customize it to all the members' needs and the photographers. It's basically a member-based studio, and we have some offices that are available as well that are occupied right now. We've got one opening right now, but more for not a photographer as much as a designer, a graphic designer, or web designer, or production person, to outside photographers. And the space is 5,600 square feet. We have 2 different studios, an east studio and a west studio. The west studio is a natural light studio. It's got a big cyc wall in it. It's got a 12 by 12 window that faces west. It's got a garage door opening that is also a window, or we call it a wind door because it opens up, but it allows natural light to come in all day, and it also is closed off to the elements, so it keeps the place cool or hot in winter or whatever. It's just a lot of natural light, and it's really beautiful. So the east studio is more of a controlled lighting situation. A lot more videos are shot there, but we are planning to put a cyc wall in there in the next few weeks. For still and for video, but another cyc wall is a good idea. And it also has a lot more textures. and it's a 34 by 34 with a green room attached and another south room attached that can be separated for just headshot sessions if somebody wanted to separate themselves in there. And that room, I think, is about I want to say it's a 19 by 20 or something like that. And then we have a conference room that has a large screen TV for tutorials. We have an LCD projector for people that have meetings here, making an awesome studio.
That sounds pretty awesome.
It is. It's busy right now. We've had so many rentals lately. I'm not surprised, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do make it affordable, but we work our butts off to make the place cool. So we like it.
Very nice.
And we've got a nice little long lease here, so we're here to stay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
We have a lot of interns that come in from various programs. We like our interns to kind of be trying to earn a degree or something like that, because an intern is here for us and we are there for them, but they're here for us more because they're going to learn like crazy amounts. But we have a lot of interns from everywhere, from Belmont, Art Institute. I mean, they just come from everywhere. So I get probably 10 or 15 calls a month from somebody that wants to intern or be a photographer or an assistant or asking for advice. And it's fun to be able to try to, get them where they're going as much as they can, and be sometimes brutally honest, to let them understand that it's very hard work.
Yeah.
And dedication, and a process that needs to be really thought out.
I think someone needs to be brutally honest with
Yeah,
them,
I mean,
if you pat them all the time and then you send them out to the world,
yeah,
that's a harder lesson than if someone's willing to be honest with them.
Yeah, no, you have to be honest, and it's not easy these days to really just get out there. I mean, you've got to really be good. You've got to be good.
Yeah, standards have definitely gone
And
up.
a lot of photographers are like, should I go find a rep? And I'm like, no, let the rep find you. Well, how do I get work? I'm like, if your work's good enough, your work will find you, but you should be able to go with your work and get work if your work's good enough. And if it's not good enough and you're not getting any work, you need to figure out what's not working. Either they don't like you, maybe it's a personality thing and you're really good, or maybe not as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
I mean, but
That's awesome advice.
yeah, I mean, if you do really, really good work and get it out there, people will come to you. So it just has to be something very unique about what you do and how you do it. A lot of photographer styles really pop out. I mean, I definitely think personality, when they're in their photo shoot with you, they have to be having a great time, and more or less not just a photo shoot, but they're having an experience. Mm-hmm. And I think when they leave with an experience and great photos on top of it, then they're going to go tell everybody. And eventually, if you're looking for a rep, you can kind of plant the right seeds out there that will catch the rep's eyes, and they will come find you. But if you go knock on a rep's door, hey, I want work, can you give me work? I don't know. You better have great work.
Yeah.
Because if you do, the rep will like, heck yeah. And if you don't, the rep's like, I don't know.
Yeah, on to the next for them.
Yeah. Or any client for that matter.
So if someone wants more information on you or about Westlight Studios or Torrenta Studios, where can they find you?
For me, they can go to gomezphotography.com and check out my work there. They can go to the westlightstudios.com website. That's westlightstudios.com, and check out the studio info. We also have a Facebook page. I think we have a link from our website to our Facebook page. Like us, and come visit sometime, or come to one of the open meetings that we have, or parties that we have, or something. It'd be fun. And as far as Gomez Photography, just send me an email and we'll put something together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what's your favorite subject to photograph?
Beautiful people. No, people in general. I don't care what they look like. Everybody's special. Everybody has something beautiful about them. Find it.
Yeah.
Find it. It could be in a conversation, but I think the more that you find the beauty in something, the more you enjoy to take photos of it. And I think that, we're all just human. So I like to shoot somebody not famous. Probably as much as I like to shoot somebody famous, it doesn't matter to me. So, yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Something that has inspired you in photography.
The sun.
Nice answer.
You wake up in the morning, or everything inspires me. I mean, to a degree, I suppose. It's just when the sun's sitting perfectly on that, coming over a hill, and it's just the right time of the day. You're just like, the sun. But other photographers' work, just beautiful. There was a Russian lady who is on Facebook now. She took pictures of her kids with dogs, and they were just absolutely stunning images.
What's your favorite music to shoot to?
Oh man, my favorite music to shoot to is what the client likes, because I have a little thing that I do. I kind of calculate what music I think they might like. So if I have an older subject, I try to figure out about the time when they were 18 to 20 something.
Yeah.
And I go, this is the music that was playing at the time. What did they listen to, probably? And I'll put that in. And generally, like, oh, I love the music. And it just makes them have a really good time. It kind of brings them back memory lane. And we all remember music and what we were doing during the day, kind of thing. So I'll put that in starting out. And then I'll kind of throw in a little few things here and there. When I used to shoot early, I would just put in my favorite music, and I would try to find inspiration in that, and I'd be into there, find out, get something out of this. But I found out later that, some people didn't like my music. And if they don't like your music, then they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you've got to make them comfortable. Yeah, you've got to figure out a way to make them comfortable, and it's their game, their money. Make it work. And every once in a while it's cool to throw in a song that they haven't heard that they like. I like to also do a little bit of that, is put in music that maybe they haven't heard but they like it, and they're just going like, who is this band? I've never heard them. I love it. This is awesome, And then all of a sudden they're just hyper cool and having fun because they're really enjoying this fact that they found this new music. So that's always
Very
fun
nice.
to share the music. So and sometimes I ask, what do you like? Of course, with Spotify these days, you can just album, and you can make playlists. You can do all sorts of stuff for your photo shoots. I've got a photo shoot playlist, and I find a lot of my favorite music on shows with Shazam, and I just put it in my favorites, and that's kind of fun. Stuff that you wouldn't hear on the radio, but through movies you do.
Yeah.
Real cool band that I started listening to just last week from a thing I heard on a TV show was Teddy Bears.
Teddy Bears?
Teddy Bears, yeah. It's like real fun, poppy, cool reggae, a lot of featured artists and all that sort of stuff, like Iggy Pop, and I mean, just really cool, cool music.
I'll have to check that out.
So check it out.
Yeah. Do you have a dream photography session that you haven't done yet, or you want to do?
Yeah, but we're about to get political on this. I don't have a session where I'm like, oh wow, that would be so cool. I don't really have a dream session. I may, fantasy or anything. It's like John Lennon said, love the one you're with. Did he say that? If you can't be with the one you love, love the one you love. No, John Lennon said, whatever gets you through the night. Yeah, that's it. No. God, you're gonna have to edit that.
Outtakes.
I'm just kidding.
Great material for outtakes. Very cool. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Well, thanks
and
for having me.
We're excited about your photography, and your studio is doing super well. And I love hearing that, because I'm definitely admire you and everything you've done. And
thanks. Well, hopefully we'll have you down here for a workshop one day.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you later.
Bye, everybody.
That was Michael Gomez, photographer and studio owner. As I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, this was recorded 8 years ago, and Michael is still standing strong as a sought-after photographer and studio owner. On our next episode, we pull from the archives of my old podcast and talk to Chris D'Amico, another talented photographer.
And my aunt, who's a professional photographer in Seattle, when she learned that I was kind of switching programs, she bought me a Nikon FE1 with this beautiful little 50mm lens on it. So I kind of felt at that point like I was kind of committed.
Right.
It's like there was this incredible gift, and I was like, well, I can't turn around at this point. And so I stuck with it, and it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Please follow us on your podcast app so you have the latest episode downloaded. This episode was produced and edited by Girl Boss Productions. I'm Lucretia, and you've been listening to Journey to the Rise. What journey are you on? Thanks for listening.